Hey guys, what's going on? Today we're going to go over the top session activators for you and your team. So let's go. So no matter where you coach, whatever level it might be, session activators can be really nice ways to break up the monotony of the consistent everyday activities that you do. Especially if you're in the travel space like I am, the season is long. And as you guys know, I like to do a lot of the same things consistently. I like to do battle boxes. I like to do rondos. I like to do positional games. And this can sometimes get a little bit mundane, a little bit boring for the kids. Now you can add a lot of qualifiers and keep the level of competition high, but once in a while, I like to throw in a session activator. Session activators are fun games that may or may not have an element of soccer-related skill in it, but it gets the kids excited, gets them having a good time, and it breaks up the everyday activities that you would normally do. And believe me, guys, this will work with college players, high school players, it'll work with 8-year-olds. Everybody enjoys these games. So guys, the setup for the first activator is pretty straightforward. You're gonna have pennies lined up in a row, and aside from each penny, you have 2 players. You'll also have 2 cones about 7 yards to the side of each player. Simply, you go head, shoulders, knees, toes, and the players touch their head, their shoulders, their knees, or their toes. And you can kind of change it up, head, shoulders, knees, toes, toes, knees, head, shoulders, knees. And then you say penny, and it's a reaction game. So the players have to grab the penny first to see who wins. Now you can add some elements to this. So if you say shuffle right, the whole group has to shuffle to the right with the ends having to go around like it's a circle. You can also say switch. So if you say switch, the players have to switch positions. So this becomes, again, a reaction game where head, shoulders, toes, knees, head, shoulders, switch, switch, penny, like stuff like that. An added element to this is if you add these 2 cones on the side, which again are about 7 yards away from the player. It's helpful if these cones are different colors. So again, you go head, shoulders, knees, toes, switch, shuffle left, shuffle right, and then you say the color of the cone. So for example, red. If you say red, the player who's closest to the red has to grab the penny and run to the red cone before the other player tags them. Again, this is a reaction game. So you're incorporating some speed, agility, quickness stuff, some critical thinking, some quick thinking type elements, and it's really a fun game that players tend to enjoy. Now, Foxes and Hunters is traditionally a game you think about with little kids, but I'm telling you, when you do this with an older group, even a high school age group, they love it. So what you're going to do is set up an area, and the size of your area really depends on the age of the players and the number of players that you have. But this becomes sort of the grid that they have to stay in. You then pick a few hunters. So you have 2 or 3, if you have, let's say you have 12 people there, maybe 2 of them or 3 of them are hunters, but everybody else takes a penny and puts it behind, tucking it into their pants or shorts like it's the tail of a fox. You then run around trying to either, if you're a fox, stay alive, or if you're a hunter, pull the penny out from behind them, which effectively kills the fox. You usually play for a set amount of time, so maybe 1 minute to 2 minutes, or you play until the last fox is alive and that fox wins. Now, one element of soccer coaching that you can do in this is trying to teach players to hunt as a pack or hunt together. So if you're going up against one fox from one side, the other person could team up as a defender would, going up to the other side trying to take the fox's tail. Again, I usually play this to some preconceived time limit or until all the foxes are dead. Now, one variation of this game is that everybody's a fox and you have one team with, let's say, red pennies and the other team with blue pennies. And what you do is you have them play against each other, and whoever is remaining, whether it's a blue player or a red player, that team wins. Each time a fox is killed or you grab the penny from the player's backside, they have to leave the grid because they're out. Relay races, you can set up a variety of ways, but what I like to do is have each team set up on a cone and then have either 3 larger cones or other cones or even training sticks kind of in between, and then another cone further off. Typically, I start out with either no ball or the ball in their hands, and they have to zigzag through the 3 cones, go around the farther cone, come back zigzag, and then toss the ball to their partner. Each team should have the same number of kids, so if you have an odd number, so let's say you had 13 players and you had 3 groups of 4 and 1 group of 5, those other 2 groups of 4, somebody would just have to go twice. You can progress this, so if the initial handoff was just a toss, the second one could be a bounce pass, for example. And then eventually you would put the ball in their feet. So they have to dribble the ball through the 3 cones in the middle, maybe do an outside cut turn or some sort of move to the cone further off, and then zigzag back through with the ball, and then pass it on the ground to the next player, who then goes. This is a variation of a race, the back-to-back, feet-to-feet, and it's really all about the setup. So you're going to start players typically at a point, which I usually do the goal line, and then I'll go goal line to goal line if I have a full field, or maybe goal line to the half line if I only have half a field. But you're going to have the players line up. So the first player will be have their back to the goal line, and then their feet will be stretched out. The player in front of them will go feet to feet, and then the next player would go back to back, feet to feet, back to back, and so on. It's the second person in line who starts with the ball, and they toss the ball to the first person. The first person then tosses the ball over to what would be the 4th player in line, and then those 2 players immediately get up and run to the back of the line. This process is repeated until the entire line gets to whatever goal you had set. And like I said, I either go goal line to goal line, or maybe even goal line to goal line and then back again. The key here is that the 2 players at the start, or whoever has the ball, has to wait for that ball to go over them before they get out of line. You'll see players kind of start cheating and try to hurry up the process. So this last one is really good for large groups, and it's really, really simple. And sometimes I'll incorporate this a little bit into a warm-up. So if you've got your group around you, you just start saying, all right, high knees, let's kind of move around, butt kickers, open the door, close the door, just kind of get them moving around with their feet. And then what you're going to do is shout out a number. So let's just say you have 14 kids at training, right? And you shout out the number 3. You need 3 people have to clump together, okay, in groups of 3, and then if somebody else tries to join that group, they can't. So there'll always be somebody who misses out, and those people typically would have to do push-ups for me. So this is a little bit of a sophisticated musical chairs type game where somebody gets left out. You just want to make sure that whatever number you pick isn't easily divided. So like 12 players is tough because 3 will have equal numbers, 4 will have equal numbers, 2 will have equal numbers, 6 will have equal numbers. But even then, it can be kind of a fun game where they're trying to find the group, I need a group of 3, I need a group of 4. And like I said, typically this is good for larger groups, especially if there's an odd number. So if you have 17 players at training, you can use tons of numbers that would be divided by 17. That'll give you an odd number out. So guys, I hope you like those session activators. I'm all about giving you guys practical stuff you can use in your session with your teams. Let me know if you end up trying any of these session activators and how they go. Also guys, I got a bunch more of these. If you would want another video on session activators, let me know in the comments as well. Hope everybody enjoyed this video, and see you on the next one.